I think if you're getting into video games because you enjoy making video games, you'll always be fine because you always get to make video games. There's no one can ever take that away from you.
And so you end up sort of starting to work in games development and creating games. Did you always want to sort of have control over the titles you made, or did you enjoy being part of a team, part of a greater whole in terms of that experience, or did you always know, no, I want to be number one. I want it to be my ideas and be in charge?
I mean, when I came up, that didn't exist, like, or it hadn't existed for a long time. You know, that you have the kind of, if you look at like the old Britsoft kind of the kind of the Codemasters, the Oliver twins who ended up working for their company Blitz back in the day, like, though that era of bedroom coders had died out, all those bedroom coders had basically hired people and made companies, and they were now big. There wasn't, when I entered the industry, there was no indie scene as there is now. That was, well, there have always been people making games on their own, but it wasn't like the mainstream thing that it is now. It was something I don't think I was even aware of it, as other than something that happened in the past. So no, I was basically on that track to like essentially have a career where I bounced between, back then it was Rockstar and Lionhead, and I would try and like have a career in games. And I had lots of people who came up at the same time as me are now kind of doing that and have had amazing careers doing that. But I had a desire a few years into my career. I realized that I could kind of use game tools to make stuff on my own, and I played there was a game called World of Goo, which was like one of the early indie games I played on my lunch break on my work computer. I remember getting to the credits and seeing it was like 2 people or whatever from EA, and I just had this moment of like, I think I could do this, like, and then started making stuff in my own time. And I was lucky that I had employers that were completely okay with me doing that. Back then, it was very common for contracts to like say they own everything you make ever in perpetuity.
Wow,
They kind of let me out of those contracts, which was nice. And then, the first one I kind of got to a finish. I made lots of games and they all kind of failed and flopped and kind of messed around with stuff and didn't finish most of them. But the first one that kind of I finished was Thomas Was Alone, and it came out and no one played it. It came out, it sold like 20 copies to friends. And then for like 4 or 5 months, I was like back to the day job basically. And I was like, maybe this pays for me to get like an iPad or something. Like this will just be a nice treat or a little, a nice meal or something,
Yeah.
And then a couple of YouTubers made a video of it in like late, kind of early December, and then I remember I was traveling home after New Year's Eve, and my earnings on Steam had basically crossed a year's salary. It was like, I guess I have to like quit my job now and see if this works. So, and I remember going in to talk to my then boss and asking him for a meeting, and him just giving me the most knowing nod ever. Like us going in, and he basically quit for me in that meeting, because he was like, I know your game's doing well. I'll see you around. You're fine.
Yeah.
So I kind of jumped in, but it wasn't a plan, not because I didn't have like ambition and wanted to do cool things, but just back then it wasn't a path that many people had walked down. You had Indie Game the Movie, which I'd seen, so I knew there were indies doing their thing. But I remember I never left the country for a games event, so I'd never been to like GDC or something. I went to GDC after Thomas Was Alone came out and just met all these people who had done this before and realized, oh, this is a whole lifestyle. If I want to be an indie, I can be an indie. I think when things have gone very well for me, it's been when I've just followed my excitement at making computer games. Like that's always been the right path. And then other stuff kind of comes about as a result of that. That seems to be the path. I enjoy making stuff, and I've always leaned into that where I can.
Something I suppose you didn't imagine at the time that when you released that game in your spare time, that it would lead to this, right? That was never the grand plan, I suppose.
No, I think I've said it in interviews before. The success I was assuming was, like I said, either I wanted an iPad, because iPads were kind of new back then. I was like, I want an iPad. Yeah, it was very exciting. So I was like, I definitely couldn't afford one any other way. So I was like, I'd get an iPad. That's like the dream. And then like, if I'm ridiculously lucky, I'll go to Disney World, because I'm a big theme park nerd. I was like, that's the pinnacle. It was there as a possibility that could be that I could go and do this as a job, but it was not like, no, the dream was Disney. The irony is then in the last 5 years, I worked with Disney for 5 years, so I was at the theme parks all the bloody time. So I got there in the end. I got to do the
long way around
at Disney World. Yeah. So I got to experience Disney World a lot in the last 5 years as a result of that.
So talking about, obviously, you know, a lot of people listening to this will come because either they know your work and really enjoy it, or they listen to us, or they want to be games designers and developers, and they look at you as a successful person in the British games industry who's made it work for 15 years. It's been your career being able to make games. What advice would you give people now? Because the like you've already touched upon, the landscape is very different today as it was when you started all those years ago.
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, and it is tough out there. We had a very tough year at Bithell Games. Like we had layoffs. We went through some stuff as well. Like it's not a good time in games right now. That's the first thing to say. But I don't want that to dissuade anyone. I don't want young people who are like, or well, any age of person who's looking to get into games to not do it because there is a bunch of us kind of rightly talking about how bad things are in certain areas. I think there's lots of opportunity. I think it's what I was saying earlier. I think it's the best advice I can muster. First piece of advice is don't listen to any advice on the industry from someone who made it, quote unquote, 15 years ago, because I don't know anything about the modern ecosystem. We release games, but I have incredibly smart people I work with who keep up to date on how to release games in 2026. I am not that guy. I like making things go plinky plonk on a video game. I'm not that guy. So I have no insights on how to successfully sell a game or whatever. But I think the thing that has always, as I said earlier, has always worked for me is just staying true to the desire to make stuff. Like if you are getting into games for any reason other than that you want to make video games, then you will have challenges. I think if you're getting into video games because you enjoy making video games, you'll always be fine because you always get to make video games. There's no one can ever take that away from you. And I think that there's opportunity now more than ever, especially like the thing that I keep expecting to happen that hasn't quite clicked into place as much yet is hobbyist game development. Is with tools like Godot, like you really can just make a game on your own with no business side of anything. You can do it for the love of the game. And I think that's the thing that's always been my North Star is I should be making stuff that I want to make, that I want to play, that I want to experience within an audience. And I think that's the advice I'd give people is stay true to that, authentically make the thing you want to make. And either it will be a mega success because everyone in the world agrees with you and your game's the best game ever. Or worst case scenario, everyone hates it, but you still made something you're proud of and you like. And I think that's either way you're winning in that scenario. So that's my advice to people starting out.